Welcome everyone to another Edu Passions conference. Our first session of the day, our first presenter, which is Maria Theologidou,
Hi.
and she's all the
Wow.
way in Greece. So she's coming to you live from Greece. And while she gets her slides together, I want you to know a little about Maria. I personally am so excited that she is here. She has a wonderful presentation for you. She's been part of 30 Ghost Challenge for quite a while, so it's really amazing to see her present. She's going to be presenting to you students in the spotlight, strengthen your voice. Okay, and so she's going to get her slides up together. Let me tell you a little about Maria. She has been an EFL teacher and translator since 2004. She graduated from Aristotle University of Thessaloniki in 2005. She holds an MA in audiovisual translation from the University of Surrey. She's interested in promoting creativity in the classroom and has presented workshops all over in Greece. So now we get to see her live and her
Hi.
slides. So Maria, we just need to look at those slides there.
Okay.
Screen
Just a
share.
minute so that. Okay, I think I'm ready to go. Can you see everything?
Go, and I will pass it off to you. We're going to hold off
Okay.
questions until the end. We have Brian Rometto here, who's our facilitator. We're so happy to have him, and he'll be copying and pasting your questions. So just wait to the end, and she'll answer them. So Maria, it's all for you.
Thank you so much, Sally. Thank you, Sarah, Brian. It's a great pleasure to be here at the Edu Passions web conference, and I'm super excited to be the first one to kick off this series of incredibly interesting sessions. What I will do today is share my thoughts on an issue, one of the issues that I feel really passionate about, and that is student voice. So what I will do is share some practical ideas on how we can empower our students and give them ownership of their learning. Now, what inspired me to talk about student voice is teachers like you, teachers who are here today, amazing educators who are passionate about building a classroom community where all members feel free to share their skills and talents. But what we see in reality, what we see in practice is that sometimes, although we might, try and do our best, we don't always get there. We don't always manage to promote student individuality. So I had this burning question for a while now, which is, whose voice are we really shaping in our classrooms? Ours or our students? And what I mean by that is that are we sure that we provide our students with the opportunity to express themselves, or are we the ones who control all conditions of learning and then hear what our students have to respond to that? So in other words, are we talking about authentic student voice or teacher-driven or teacher-shaped student voice? So what I've decided to do is I've decided to think of 5 ways that I feel can help us towards strengthening student voice in the classroom. And I will start with the first one right away, which is to engage students and personalize teaching. And of course, as you can imagine, this goes both ways. So in order for us to engage our learners, we need to make learning relevant to their needs, desires, and personalities. But in order for that to happen, we need to ensure that we provide our students with engaging stimuli. So how can we do that in practice? Now, I know that most of us are in a back-to-school mode, so one of my favorite activities, and I imagine that it is a favorite activity of many teachers, is goal setting. And I think that setting goals helps our learners, have a better understanding of their progress. It makes learning more tangible. But I have seen that my kids really struggled, sometimes at least, with this whole process of visualizing their progress, visualizing how much they will have learned by the end of the academic year. So instead of focusing on long-term goals, I have decided to ask them and discuss with them how they can focus on short-term goals. So we now discuss what they hope they will have achieved by the end of November, for example, or by Christmas time. And that's where the second activity, my Christmas self-letters, comes in. These are letters that students write to themselves where they talk about their hopes, their dreams, their ambitions, all the things that they hope they will have achieved by Christmas time. There is only one rule, and the rule is that they cannot open these letters until Christmas time comes. And as I often tell them, this is my first gift to them. And I also think that the timing is very important. Christmas time, the break during the Christmas holidays is essential for them so that they can reflect on their learning and on everything that has been going on in the classroom. I also like to promote the idea that learning is a lifelong journey. Learning never stops. So one way to do so is by having a learning journey box in the classroom where learners can throw in slips of paper with their questions, comments, or challenges on, and then once or twice a year we can open this box and have a class discussion with our students on how they think they can help their classmates overcome the problems they might be facing, address these challenges. And this, of course, learning journey idea can also turn into a class activity where learners can come up with their own quotes on life as a student, their life as a student, on learning in general. This can also be extended to a Twitter challenge activity where they can create and share their own hashtags about learning. So there are lots of different ways to go about it. Now, the second step for me is to welcome their passions. And this picture is very special to me. This is a board game that one of my many talented students, Jim, created last year. Jim is a person who loves creating things, building machines. He is Leonardo da Vinci. And what was amazing about the board game, which I don't know if you can see it clearly, it was made from very simple materials that Jim had at home, was that this game was not part of a project or assignment. Jim came in class one day holding the board game, and he told me that, Miss, I would like this to be part of our learning, to become part of your teaching, in other words, so that we can revise grammar, practice vocabulary. And I know that all of us have people like Jim in our classrooms. So how can we invite our learners to share these talents that they have? Now, open days is one way to go about it. Open days are very popular in many schools and colleges, but if this is not a feasible option for the school where you teach, this could also turn into mini sessions where students can spend 5 to 10 minutes talking about their skills and talents, what they're good at, and offering advice and tips to other people who would like to become great at what they're already masters in. And once again, if this is not feasible because of your class size or the context where you teach, you could ask them to create mini tutor videos on their mobile phones where they can share, once again, tips and advice for other people who would like to take up the sport or activity that they're already great at. Now, the second suggestion there, which is to differentiate tasks, I think that this should be our #1 priority when we design tasks for our learners, which is to take into consideration their talents, their skills, and then present the tasks in a way that is appealing to them. And to be honest with you, this was something that I was forced to do some years ago when I had a class of B2 level students who hated writing, but loved playing World of Warcraft. So instead of having them write essays, I asked them to write walkthroughs to the game. We eventually got to the essay writing part, but we started from something that they found interesting and was appealing to them. And since I'm talking about differentiation, I'm basically talking about giving our students options. Now, I think that we often associate options with, options regarding homework and assignment, but I feel that we should really give our students options regarding the teaching materials we use. So in other words, we should involve them in the syllabus design process or in the syllabus modification process. And one very easy thing and simple activity to do that is to have a set of 4 cards. I'm going to show you my cards at the end of the presentation. This is a set of cards. You can see how they're called. I have a replace it, delete it, personalize it, and adapt it card. And what happens is that every time that I see my students struggling with something or having difficulty working on a task, I tell them that they can choose one of these 4 cards. If they choose to replace the activity we're working on, they have to bring an activity of their own. If they choose to delete it, we can leave it out, but they will have to tell me why they thought we should leave it out and suggest ideas for improvement. If they choose to personalize it, they can add their own personal details to the activity, like, for example, details that have to do with their hobbies or interests. And if they choose to adapt it, we keep part of the activity and then we change the rest. Now, of course, you can turn this whole idea into a year-long project by splitting your class in groups of unit or module designer groups. Now, I'm an EFL teacher, so we always have a standard course book we work with. So what I do is that I split them in unit or module designer groups, and every month one of the groups has to change part of the unit or the module we're working on. And last but not least, you can have a Creator of the Week initiative. This is, I think, what inspired Jim last year, because we had this project going on. The way this works is that you have one student from each class you teach who needs to come up with his or her own ideas on any topic you think is suitable. So this could range from having them as mini teachers in the classroom, preparing worksheets for their classmates, to having them brainstorm ideas about field trips, ways to improve your syllabus, anything you feel that is relevant to your needs and desires. And I'm going to move on to the fourth step, which is to connect them to the world. Now, as I said before, I'm an EFL teacher in Greece, and although I'm really happy to see that my students use technology and they use English through technology to connect with other people, I still have students who see learning English as a way to pass exams and get certificates. So I think it's very important for them to realize that learning a language is a tool that brings people together, that can make things like today's conference happen. And one way to ensure that students realize that is to use technology. I'm talking about using web tools that we have chosen, web tools that we feel can facilitate learning, in order to give them different options. I'm not referring only to homework. I've just mentioned homework here, but for example, what you can do when you want them to create a poster on different sources of energy, you could have half of them created on paper, others on construction paper, but they could also create it on Bansi, Pinterest, ThinkLink, Canva. There's so many tools out there that you can exploit. And of course, the easiest way to connect is to connect with other students. There are lots of global collaboration projects out there, Mystery Skype as well. But even if these, don't seem so appealing to you, even a Skype call with another teacher who works at the same school as you are can also do wonders. Having, your students and their students talk about different topics, or have a debate on an issue. This could also help them get in touch with other people and share the language that they're learning. And finally, I think that if we expect our students to take risks and step out of their comfort zone, we need to be willing to do so ourselves. So one way to do that is to learn something new with our students. What I did last year with an amazing class of B2 level students was to go on Khan Academy and enroll in different courses. We all did that. I chose cosmology and astronomy, if I remember correctly. They each chose different courses, and then at the end of this week, we spent a week on these courses. At the end of this week, we got back in class and we talked about what we had learned, what was interesting, challenging, boring about the courses that we had attended. So basically, we shared the results of our joint mission, of our common mission together. And last but not least, I think that it is very important to build empathy. I actually think that building empathy is the cornerstone of teaching and learning. We cannot expect to have student voice if we don't build a classroom community where each and every one of its members feel respected, honored, and trusted. And of course, the way to do so, I think the first way to do so, is to boost team power. I believe so much in teamwork, purposeful, meaningful teamwork, where learners, have a sense of purpose, and they can see how each one of their talents and skills can contribute to the success of the whole project. And another activity that I love using in order to spread kindness in the classroom is a Wall of Courage poster. And I also tried a similar poster with my younger kids, which was called Words of Encouragement poster, where my students were asked to write down positive words and encouraging words for their classmates. So their task was to write down words that could help their classmates be motivated, not give up, and keep working towards their goals. And of course, we need to ensure that we provide our students with meaningful feedback. Now, a lot has been said about homework, assignment, and feedback. And I know that meaningful feedback as a term is open to a lot of interpretation, but what I basically mean by that is that we need to acknowledge and reward effort and, of course, provide our students with room for reflection. So we can reward effort in many different ways, from giving our students stickers and badges to high fives, anything you feel can help them realize that effort truly matters. And of course, reflection is necessary so that they realize that they are the ones responsible for their own learning, and they are the ones that learning, for whom learning truly matters. We teach the future, as I often tell them, the future leaders. Now, I would like to sum up everything that I have just mentioned by reminding us all that we are preparing, that's how I feel it at least, that we are preparing the citizens of future societies. And I think that society can only move forward if kids lead the way. So we should give their voices and dreams room to grow and flourish if we want our teaching to matter and if we want for learning to have an impact on their lives. Thank you all so very much for being here with me today. Thank you, Sally, Sarah, and everyone else for making this happen. And I'm excited to see what the rest of the conference will hold for all of us.
Well, thank you so much, Maria. That was awesome. We're going to have Brian come on, and he's going to let you know some of the comments and stuff from the chat box. That's coming from our chat link. And just to let everyone know, we are working on having this, we're having it to where you can watch the video, so that's great. And Maria, I think you're going to show your cards right now.
Okay. Shall I show them? Yes, the cards. I completely forgot. Sorry. Yes. Now, these are the cards. I don't know if you can see them clearly. This is the replace it card, the deleted card. Of course, they will be laminated later on. The personalize it card and the adapted card. I prepare new cards every year because, I love making new things every year. But I think they're a great way to instantly provide students with option. They are easy to prepare, so why not do that?
Yeah, exactly. So we have a couple of comments from the chat box that Brian has pasted here. So Tiana says, really engaging presentation, and Peggy George says, I love that this presentation is about both tech and non-tech ideas, and her favorite idea is the student board game. We have Joy Boehm, who's saying the same. She says, many, many wonderful ideas. Barbara Anna, the same thing. So just a lot of kudos for your presentation from
Thank you so much.
From people everywhere.
Thanks to everyone.
And Peggy George also shared the resource. I don't know if you've heard, but or seen this resource, but it's from Ed Week from Beth Holland about empathy. And so that was one of the things there.
Let me check.
The power of empathy. So she thought that would be a good one for your presentation.
Okay, and it's loading right now. Thank you so much, Peggy.
Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to sign off and get ready for the next one. But Maria is going to join you in the chat box and also give you a link to her presentation and stuff. And we'll give you a link to the next presentation as well. So we will see you in the next one. And I think that Sarah's going to come on and end the recordings to make sure that you get a wonderful recording.
Okay.
See you all in the next one.
See you all. Bye. Thank you.